Former Vice President and incoming Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo has reiterated her call for Congress to pass the Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, Gender Expression, or Sex Characteristics or SOGSC bill, asserting that it is designed to protect everyone, not just the LGBTQ community. Robredo delivered this message in a video shown during the Pride Month event, Elov 3 Laban, at UP Diliman in Quezon City on Saturday. Senate Bill Number 139, or the SOGISC Equality Act, was filed by Senator Risa Hontiveros in July 2022 and has already passed the committee level. However, it has been languishing on second reading since then. The LGBTQ issue remains divisive, but it shouldn't be. Like many issues humanity has tackled, slavery, women's right to vote, and women's right to higher education, these too were once deeply controversial. Over time, humanity's moral compass evolved, and justice prevailed. LGBTQ rights are simply the latest frontier in that ongoing journey. These landmark issues also posed profound challenges for Christianity, often dividing believers. Today, LGBTQ rights are the pressing test of our faith and our shared humanity. Why did Christianity start off on the wrong foot by condemning LGBTQ people? After all, Jesus taught his disciples not to judge or shun those different from them, be they non-Jews, the poor, or women. Did his disciples miss the message? This question cuts right to the contradiction at the heart of so much Christian history. First, Jesus himself never spoke a single word about LGBTQ people. The Gospels show him breaking social taboos constantly. He dined with tax collectors, befriended Samaritans, a group despised by Jews of the time, spoke openly with women, and touched lepers whom others avoided. His message was radically inclusive for a first-century Jewish teacher. So where did anti-LGBTQ sentiment come from? Cultural baggage, not Jesus' teachings. The early disciples were Jews steeped in purity laws and patriarchal norms. Homosexual acts were taboo in Jewish law, mostly because of Levitical purity codes, laws that also prohibited eating shellfish or wearing clothes of mixed fabrics. These were about tribal identity and survival, not universal moral absolutes. Paul's influence. Paul's letters contain a few brief condemnations of same-sex acts, Romans 1, 1 Corinthians 6. But these references were context-specific and likely described exploitative relationships, like pederasty or temple prostitution, not consensual, loving same-sex relationships. Church plus empire equals control. Once Christianity became the Roman Empire's official religion in the 4th century, it absorbed Rome's obsession with hierarchy and traditional family structures. The institutional church began defining what was normal to maintain social control, codifying hostility toward LGBTQ people, women's rights, and other deviations. Selective hearing. Jesus' radical love was inconvenient for powerful men who wanted to police people's bodies. Instead of taking love your neighbor as yourself literally, they cherry-picked verses to justify bigotry. As always, it's easier to control through fear than to inspire with love. Did the disciples get the message? Some did. Early Christian communities could be surprisingly inclusive by Roman standards. But as the church gained political power, the message of unconditional love was too often drowned out by cultural biases and power plays. The bottom line, anti-LGBTQ attitudes weren't Jesus' idea. They came from fearful men twisting faith into a tool of control, a pattern repeated throughout history. On pederasty, it's critical to understand it historically and recognize that it still exists in parts of the world. Pederasty, sexual relationships between adult men and adolescent boys, was accepted in ancient Greece, Rome, and places like pre-Meiji Japan. In Rome, it often involved exploitation of slaves or lower-status youths. Today, we rightly consider pederasty child sexual abuse. Modern society understands that minors cannot give informed consent, and such exploitation causes lasting harm. Appealing to ancient practices to justify adult-minor sexual relationships is morally and legally indefensible. Yet, pederasty persists today in some places, like Afghanistan, where bacha-bazi involves older men keeping adolescent boys as dancing boys for sex, an abhorrent form of child sexual slavery. So should Christianity accept the LGBTQ community as part of the church? The honest answer, if you want to truly follow Jesus' teachings, is yes. Anything else is a betrayal of his central message: love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus never included caveats like unless they're gay or unless they don't fit your idea of normal. Why should Christianity welcome LGBTQ people? First reason is to follow Jesus' example. He stood with the marginalized. He broke social rules to uplift women, lepers, Gentiles, and tax collectors, people society scorned. Today, LGBTQ people are often pushed to the margins by the church itself. That demands action, not exclusion. Second reason is because it is at the heart of the gospel: love, grace, and reconciliation, not judgment. Jesus reserved his harshest words for hypocritical religious leaders who burdened others while refusing to help them. Matthew 23:4. Sound familiar? Third reason is because context matters. The Bible passages often cited against same-sex relationships were written in societies with no concept of consensual, loving same-sex partnerships. They condemned exploitative or ritual acts, not modern LGBTQ relationships. Why the division today? Mainline Protestants, such as the Episcopal Church, United Church of Christ, and Evangelical Lutheran Church, have largely embraced LGBTQ inclusion as an expression of justice and faithfulness to Jesus' example. Pope Francis has tried to shift Catholic conversations toward compassion, famously saying, "Who am I to judge?" Yet the Church's official doctrine still teaches that same-sex relationships are disordered, leaving LGBTQ Catholics in a painful gray area. Evangelical fundamentalists cling to anti-LGBTQ stances because they're woven into their identity politics. For many evangelical leaders, railing against the gay agenda is a tactic to rally conservative voters and keep followers afraid of difference. As true followers of Jesus, we should welcome and affirm LGBTQ people as beloved children of God, period. Stand against discrimination and hate in Jesus' name. Confess the Church's historic harm to LGBTQ people and commit to healing. Listen to LGBTQ Christian stories because they are part of the body of Christ. Prioritize love over dogma, remembering Paul's words in Galatians 5:14. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. In short, if your faith leads you to exclude or shame others, it's time to ask whether you're truly following Jesus or just your own fear.